In today's video, I'm going to show you the inside of a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe and discuss how they're made.
I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition.
Everyone knows that a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe is the pinnacle of ready-to-wear leather dress shoes, not just for their comfort, but for their durability and longevity. What a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe allows you to do is to frequently resole that shoe once the outsole becomes worn. The reason that is so important is that if you're investing in a high-quality pair of leather dress shoes, like these Carmina dress shoes from Spain, which I absolutely love, the uppers will only get better with time and will outlast the outsole by years, if not decades. A really high-quality pair of dress shoes like these Carminas are beautiful, only get better with age, and can easily last 10, 15, 20 plus years if cared for properly. Now that said, anyone that is using their shoes regularly is going to wear through the outsoles much in the same way that you'll go through several pairs of tires before you've got to replace your car. The same is true for leather dress shoes, and that's where Goodyear welting comes in. The reason Goodyear welting is so important is that unlike with the Blake stitch shoe, or even worse, a shoe whose sole is glued to the bottom, you're able to resole the shoe or to take that outsole off without disturbing the upper at all. With the Blake stitch shoe, whenever you pull that outsole off, essentially all the pieces of the upper are just left kind of dangling. And what can happen is that when the cobbler goes to re-sew that new outsole on, it can really alter the way that that shoe fits. Taking that one step even further, if you have a lower quality shoe where the outsole is actually glued on and not stitched at all, a shoe like that you can't even resole. So you may love that shoe and the upper may look great, but you've worn through the outsole. No cobbler is really going to be able to do anything for that because it's a low quality shoe. The benefit of Goodyear welting shoes, and I'm going to show in this video, is that they can very easily be resoled. Now, Carmina Shoemaker, based on the small Spanish island of Majorca, makes an absolutely exceptional Goodyear welted leather dress shoe. What I love about Carmina is that for as little as $500, not only are you able to get a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe that can be resoled, that's going to last 10, 15, 20 plus years, but they are really an aficionados shoemaker. And on all their shoes, they really exhibit some of these finer, nuanced details that really are what make me love shoes. We have several videos on Carmina, so I'm not going to go into all those details on this video, but take a look at the description of this video and you can see the playlist where we really walk through Carmina's entire line. Now I want to show in this video how a pair of Goodyear welted leather dress shoes are made. So the process begins with the upper and the insole. So this is an insole, you can see, right? So this is the inside of the shoe, and a linen ribbing is attached to that through which all of the Goodyear welting takes place. Then the upper is stretched over the last, right, attached to the insole, and here you can see it's kind of in what would be a basted state where, you know, this is done, the shoe is lasted, and then this is stapled together to just hold it all together before the Goodyear welting process takes place. Now what's important is that if this were a Blake stitch shoe, what would happen is that all these pieces would be folded down, they would throw the leather outsole on top, and then the stitching that happens would go through the outsole, the upper, the interlining, any hard countering, directly into the insole. So with a Blake stitch shoe, this is all held together by the stitching that goes through the leather outsole. So whenever you pull that leather outsole off, really you compromise the entire integrity of the entire shoe. Now what's unique about Goodyear welting is that welt. Now what the welt is it's this leather strip that runs the entire perimeter of the shoe. This is really the spine of the shoe because the stitching that happens through the linen rib, through the interlining, through the upper, and the welt is what holds all the shoe together, right? It's then onto this welt that the outsole is stitched, and I'll show you that in a moment. So here you can see the interior of the shoe. The welt has already been sewn on, Now Carmina uses a 3/4 welt where it stops right at the base of the heel. It doesn't go all the way around like Allen Edmonds' 360-degree welt. And the reason is that it allows the heel to actually sit tighter and neater onto the shoe. So this is actually a premium level of construction to stop it right here at the heel, the base of the heel. So you can see that where the heel goes on, this is where the welt stops. And the reason that that is important is that it allows you to get this really kind of clean finish here at the heel, right, where the heel block sits very neat and tightly underneath the back of the shoe. And you don't have this big welt kind of overhanging going all the way around the perimeter of the back of the shoe. Again, it's a small detail, but it's one of those details when taken in its totality with all those other small details really are what differentiate a really well-crafted, well-made shoe from one that is just, ordinary. So here you can see that Carmina's put the shank in the shoe. So this is what gives the structure to the shoe so that it doesn't collapse whenever you put your weight into it at this area between the heel and the forward part of the shoe. And this welt is sewn onto the shoe through the Goodyear welting process. You can kind of see the stitching in through here. It's a beige stitching, so it's a little bit hard to see. But basically, that welt stitching is what holds all this together. So you could pull the shoe off the last. It doesn't have an outsole on it. And the integrity and the structure of this shoe is completely held together. Now next during the process is this void that exists between the insole and the outsole is filled with hot cork. So you can see right here that I've cut it out and you've got half of this exposed here just showing you what that looks like on the inside. But the other half is full of that hot cork. And then the next step is adding the outsole. So Carmina takes this a step further than most shoemakers, and they do something that's called an invisible channel stitch. Right, so after this is done, this outsole is put on top of the shoe, and then this is where the magic happens. That outsole is stitched onto the welt, directly onto the welt, right? So you can pull this outsole off, and you're not going to change anything about the welt and the way that the welt is holding this entire shoe together. So this is done with an invisible channel stitch, which is compared to an open channel stitching. So open channel stitching, you wouldn't carve this flat back. You just would stitch it straight into the shoe. But here you can see that Carmina actually carves into the leather outsole, peels that little piece back, and then they're stitching the leather outsole onto the welt. One other point of note is you can see that Carmina does this at a particularly high stitch density at around 8 stitches per inch, which is again one of those nuanced characteristics of fine shoemaking that really creates a tighter, much more polished shoe than one that uses a lower stitch density. Once this is done, then Carmina takes the heel block, they put the heel block on, this is going to be nailed onto the shoe with pegs, and then they finish the outsole. Now you can see going from here to finished is really a beautiful process. And this allows you to really see and appreciate what you get with an invisible channel stitching. At this stage right here, I'll just show you, it really looks quite messy and terrible, but what it allows you to do is to completely conceal that outsole stitching on the outsole, which really creates just a beautiful, highly polished and finished look. Carmina also dyes their outsoles, again, just to give them that additional level of finishing that really creates such a beautiful shoe. They also put some brass tacks on the toe and they tack the heel for added durability. But this is a finished Goodyear welted leather dress shoe. Now, Goodyear welting is really appreciated for several reasons. First and foremost, the comfort of a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe can't be surpassed. Maybe only by bespoke, but the difference in price between a Goodyear welted factory-made dress shoe at $500 and a $5,000 bespoke dress shoe is huge. And what you're picking up there is just very marginal elements of quality. For as little as $500, you really get all the shoe that you need, and most importantly, you can spend your money knowing that if you care for the shoe and resole it whenever it needs to be resoled, that this is a pair of dress shoes that you can wear for 10, 15, 20 years, if not the rest of your life. These Carmina shoes are beautiful, and really, Carmina is the price point at which you really pick up on a lot of those more nuanced elements of quality. You've got, of course, a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe made from a really high quality, full grain leather that is only going to age and get better whenever you polish it. You've got the invisible channel stitching with a finished outsole. You've got the tight kind of heel block that sits really nicely underneath the back of the shoe. You've got the high stitch density for the outsole itself. You've got a nicely trimmed welt that doesn't protrude too wide off of the actual silhouette of the shoe. You've got great last definition. You even have a high stitch density with how the upper is actually sewn together in and of itself. And all these qualities really combine to create a beautiful leather dress shoe that whenever you're wearing it, you can be confident that you've got as fine of a dress shoe as anyone in the room. Now it all comes back to that Goodyear welting though, which really is so important. I know that a lot of the Italians, really favor the Blake stitch. It's a little bit of a softer construction, but at the end of the day, it's not as durable and as long lasting as a shoe as something that's Goodyear welted, because you can't resole it as many times as you can a Goodyear welted shoe. And whenever you do resole it, it's always going to change a little bit the character of that shoe. So whenever you're out there shopping and looking to invest in a high quality pair of shoes that you really want to last, that you can take care of and really cherish, and that's going to get better with time, really the first thing you want to make sure you're doing is that you're investing in a pair of shoes that is properly Goodyear welted. So in this video clip, you can see our cobbler, Jim McFarland, through our Kirby Allison Certified Shoe Restoration Service, actually cutting the outsole off of a Goodyear welted leather dress shoe. Now, whenever he cuts through that outsole stitching and pulls that leather outsole off, what it simply reveals is the interior of the shoe with the welt, the cork filling, the shank, and none of that structure, none of the integrity of that shoe really has been altered or compromised in any way. So at that point, it's just cleaning up any of the cork that needs to be replaced. If the cork can be salvaged, it's always better to salvage the original cork. And then just refinishing that outsole and sewing it back onto this welt. In the comment section below, let me know how many times you have resoled your Goodyear welted leather dress shoes. I think that with some of my oldest shoes, they're approaching maybe the second or the third resoling. And with a good resoling job, you should easily be able to get 6 to 8 years out of that shoe as long as it's part of a proper rotation. If you like this video, click the red button and subscribe. Give us the thumbs up. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And check out the description of this video where we link to some of our other videos about Carmina, about the Goodyear welted process, and about our Kirby Allison Certified Shoe Restoration Program. Make sure you visit hangerproject.com where we have the largest selection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, like this beautiful Kirby Allison Sovereign Grade tie. It's a beautiful jacquard tie. Great interlining, ties a perfect knot, pocket square, socks, and other accessories for the well-dressed. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm wearing my new custom Alan Flesser suit. This is a triple bead stripe navy suit. I love this because it's a really subtle kind of chalk stripe effect. This is my first pinstripe suit, and I couldn't be any more pleased. I'm wearing it today with a bespoke white Charvet dress shirt. This has my new collar. You can tell it sits up a little bit higher with slightly longer points. And I'm wearing one of our new Kirby Allison Sovereign Grade neckties. This is a beautiful navy jacquard with a squiggly line, offering beautiful visual texture. I absolutely love this tie, especially how it pairs with the navy suit that I'm wearing today. I have a Seminole Godard pocket square. These are high-waisted trousers I'm wearing with a pair of Albert Thurston braces. I'm wearing my black Baron DeRidi bespoke shoes from George Cleverly with a pair of our Kirby Allison Sovereign Grade burgundy silk socks.